Okay, Miss Canada. All right. You brought this case before the court. What's going on?
I'm seeking child support and back pay from this man.
Okay, just straightforward. That's what I like. Just get right into it. How old is the child?
The child is now 3 years old.
3 years old.
And I have not received any child support.
In 3 years?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Sir, is there a reason you haven't given her any child support in the past 3 years?
Yes, ma'am, there is.
What is that?
We've been discussing the paternity obligation.
Okay.
Under the circumstances, I don't think I was the only person having a fling with Rocky at the time that she and I had that time
He's trying to be polite, huh?
together. And,
Excuse me? Are you implying something?
Well, what I'm
Oh, man, that shame right into it, huh? Let's use the shame tactic on this one, right?
trying to say is that I understand that you may have been seeing some other people in addition to me. And the reason that I haven't provided
Well, those are rumors.
I understand
First of
that.
all.
I understand that. But
Second of
you
all.
haven't complied with my request for DNA test either, and that's my key. Is that if I have an obligation, I like to make sure it is my obligation and not the obligation of some other father.
Well, maybe you should have been obligated to your wife whenever you were having an affair with me.
You know, you're right about that. And honest
So
truth is
you are
that
admitting that you're married?
yes,
Okay.
and I've told her.
Dang.
Told her that we have.
He's so savage. That's how you handle it, folks. Don't lie. Be honest. You're going to end respect.
Had this fling.
You didn't
told
tell
your
me you
wife
were
that?
married until after.
That's correct. That's correct. I did not tell. So, you know, from my perspective, Your Honor, I certainly understand the situation. I'm not trying to be hard-hearted, so to speak, about this, but I think that there's some other questions that need to be answered before we agree on paying any kind of support, because at this
He's
point,
right.
we haven't confirmed whose child it
She's
is.
like, damn, man. He's making sense.
Okay. Well, I definitely have some questions too, but I don't think they have anything to do with child support. It's more about you guys' backstory, but that has nothing to do with me. However, has this man taken a DNA test at all?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Did he sign anything at the hospital
No, he wasn't
acknowledging that he was the father? Okay. So he does have a valid point. Before we can actually place him on child support, he either has to accept parentage, which, according to what I'm hearing, you're really not accepting it.
there. He's in denial about his affair and doesn't want his wife to find out.
My wife knows.
Oh,
Yeah,
she
right.
knows now.
He's lying.
You told her?
I would have heard from her by now. I
Ah.
work with him, ma'am.
Oh,
Wow.
at the well
Wow, look at the lady in the back.
told her?
I would have heard from her by now. I work with him, ma'am.
Oh. At the welding place?
I'm a receptionist there. That's how we met.
You're her direct manager. Oh, okay. Ooh, wasn't expecting that much tea this morning. Yeah, he's entitled to a DNA test. Okay? So before we can move forward,
She's trying to still make it like, that he's the bad guy. But the fact that she was slipping around, and she's trying to put him in a position for a long time child support, and she can see that.
forward with anything in terms of child support, looking at your financial documents you provided, he first needs to get a DNA test. So what I can do is you guys go and get the DNA test, then you can come back at a later date, possibly, if he's the father. If he's not the father, you are more than welcome to bring back as many people as necessary. I'm not implying by any means
You
that what
are. Come on now, you're implying. You can tell.
he's saying is true.
Right, he's
but if
definitely
he's
the
not
father.
the father, you can bring back as many people as necessary to get DNA testing, and we actually find the father and place him on child support.
Well, I know who it is, so that's not necessary, but thank you.
Okay. Is there anything further?
Your Honor, can we get your assistance in having this thing compelled so that we can get this DNA testing done expeditiously.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
He's not pulling back. He's not like, no, you bring me now. You brought me here to court. You brought me here to court. Now you pulling back and saying, no, I definitely know who's the father. He's like, no. We're not going to go there. We're going to just go through the legal system to make sure that if it says that I'm not the father, I can sue you. You see what I'm saying? That's why he's just planning.
Definitely. And it will be done through the Attorney General's office.
Okay.
Because they are actually on site in the courtroom, and it will be in the courthouse rather. And it will be much easier and free to you all to go ahead and use their resource. Okay? If there's nothing further, you all are dismissed.
Thank you.
Rocky,
You're welcome.
if I have obligations here, I'll stand behind them.
I appreciate that.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
When it comes to one-year-old Dante,
He handled that like a real G. He handled it very well. Very well.
Pierre, you are the father. Case of 2-year-old
Doing push-ups.
Miracle James, you are not. She begged that man to take off the condom. In the case of 7-week-old Andrew, you are not.
Wow. This is crazy.
This is a frighteningly common occurrence. Every day, new videos arise showing men who have been cuckolded and forced into child support payments for decades. Some of them going to prison over not paying child support for children that are not theirs.
That's so messed
Laws
up.
are skewed in favor of women. Don't wait for the government to be fair. You protect yourself. Never, ever in a million years sign any birth certificate until the DNA results come back, proving that the child is yours. Protect yourself, and keep in mind that you are potentially also protecting the child against living in a family with someone they think is their father,
That's
and
the
then
worst.
10 years down the road, watching that family destroyed when they find out it is not their
That's
father.
the worst, man. It's like that video that we saw about the judge. After 51 years of marriage, find out the kid that he thought he raised were not his. Imagine that. Imagine that.
I keep hearing men say that the modern woman has zero accountability. That is true. They are lacking something else that men aren't aware of. Maybe it's because it's been so long since women had dignity, but women have no shame either. I've watched videos of women showing zero remorse to a husband who has raised illegitimate children, trying to put the blame on the man. No shame whatsoever. Simple combativeness is all they feel compelled to offer. Trust cannot be easily given these days. A few bad apples spoil the whole bunch. Because it has become an epidemic of women having their husbands raise other men's offspring, it is now necessary for every single man to do his due diligence and make sure that his blood is running through that child's veins before you become responsible for him or her forever. Also, there will be no consequences for a woman who lies in this situation. Paternity fraud is a serious crime that can be both emotionally and financially devastating to the men it is perpetrated against. Men can invest years of their lives and hundreds of thousands of dollars into a child or children before learning that they are not actually their child.
Man, just imagine, folks. You're raising a child for the next, I'm not going to even say 30 years. But let's say that you raise a child for 5 or 10 years. That's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, man. You know what crazy? Me and my wife, we wanted to just try the system here in Wisconsin and just get some DNA test from the state, man. That thing is so hard to do, folks. The state itself put you in a position that is almost impossible to get a DNA test. Like it was not even funny because we wanted to just go through the process to see how it looks. I knew the kids were mine because with the circumstances that we live right now from the get-go, but I wanted to go through the process and see what are the steps. But if you want to do it through the statement, it's so hard. so hard. You might as well just go and buy some of those kits where you can do it yourself, and probably it will give you like a 80 to 90% of accuracy, and you can go from there. But if you want to go to the state, it's a pain. It's a pain.
In some states, men can be forced to continue paying child support for the full 18 years, even after it is proven the child is not theirs.
That's crazy.
Despite the devastation caused by paternity fraud, it is never punished because it's a crime committed by women against men. Our legal system treats women incredibly leniently, despite the dishonest claims that some feminists make to the contrary. Compared to men who commit the same crime with a similar criminal history, women are less likely than men to be charged in the first place, more likely to have charges dropped, more likely to get bail while awaiting trial, less likely to be convicted, less likely to be sentenced to jail, are given shorter sentences. Men's sentences are 63% or 23 months longer on average, and women serve a smaller percentage of their sentence before being paroled than men do. One UK analysis found that if men were treated as leniently as women are by the criminal justice system, there would be approximately 84% fewer men in prison at any point in time.
Wow.
This is especially true.
That is an interesting stat. Very interesting stat. I don't know how accurate that stat is, but if it is true, that is an incredible reduction of male population in prison, which I don't think is okay, because we're way too soft right now in crime, so that will make it worse.
Of female-specific crimes committed against men, which are rarely punished at all. For example, paternity fraud, as discussed here, is not even technically a crime. There is no downside for a woman committing paternity fraud. She will not face punishment under any circumstances. Women raping men is not taken seriously by police. Many, probably a majority of police, will either not investigate a report of a female rapist, or they will refuse to take a report in the first place, or they may instead investigate the male victim as if he's the perpetrator. The same thing is true for domestic violence. A male that's a victim of domestic violence who calls the police for help is more likely to be arrested himself, 33%,
That's
than to see his female abuser arrested, 25%. These outcomes are all the product of a social phenomenon that psychologists have named gamma bias.
Gamma bias.
This cognitive filter affects the way that male and female crimes are viewed very differently. The harm from crimes committed by men
Gamma bias.
is magnified or exaggerated, so to speak.
I mean, just look at that gamma bias. We have to get ourselves a little bit, enlightened here with the language, folks. Gamma bias. Gamma bias. Meaning. What the hell is this? Gamma bias. You mean gamma bias? Yes. Gamma bias occurs when one gender difference is minimized while simultaneously, oh, whatever. Let me read that again, right? Gamma bias occurs when one gender difference is minimized while the other one is magnified. So basically, what he's talking about, the female population in prison is very low for this fact that most of the time they will not be prosecuted for the fact that somehow the system itself doesn't allow that to go checked, for the fact that this is something new, folks. Female committing crime at this magnitude is something new. Before, they will commit crime and we will deal with it. However, now at this magnitude with the paternity fraud, that they're not just being part of the political system, so that's going to take some time as well for us to recognize some of the talents. Look at some of these majors, man. Some of these what's going on right now in politics. I'm not going to mention too much of it, but it just, men know that they're committing crime, but we don't know how to approach this. We don't know how to approach it because of the shame aspect. It's a female. We're not taking it too seriously. It's just, we allow it to just happen. It's just a simp beta mindset. Instead of just looking at it from a perspective of fact that say you commit fraud and that's it, you're getting the same amount of prison years. But we don't see it like that.
Speak, while the harm from crimes committed by women is minimized and excused. But the harm from crimes committed against men is minimized and excused, while the harm from crimes committed against women is magnified
See?
or exaggerated. The harm from crimes committed by women against men is the most minimized and excused of all, which results in a criminal justice system that sees no need to punish women for bad behavior perpetrated against men. Legally, women are not considered as capable or even responsible as men.
That's what I said.
Women are held to
That's
different
exactly what I said, folks. That's exactly what I said. That's exactly what I said.
standards. This is why women get lesser sentences for the same crimes. Modern feminists don't complain about the law judging women as being less than men because it benefits themselves. Paternity fraud is legal. Why? Well, for the same reasons why you don't see women complaining about it. For the same reasons why you won't see feminist bitching about this. For the same reason why most of the crimes and acts of violence initiated by women do not add to any crime statistics or domestic violence statistics.
Really?
For the same reason, only men are drafted. For the same reason, a man's life is referred to as expendable and disposable by society.
That's crazy.
Women adore having supremacy over men. It's always easier for them to lie to men and destroy their lives without facing any consequences at all. Whoever complains about this simply hinders their feminist ideologies. And now that is illegal. Saying something against feminism can lead you to jail. But destroying a man's life by lies is simply ethical, empowering and moral. Remember, you are only a sperm donor who deserves to be roped with child support, no matter what the circumstances are.
Mr. Brown, you are not the father.
Damn, bro. Wow, I felt that one. I felt that one. My goodness. Oh. Damn. Ah, man. Look at his face, man. His world is just basically falling apart right there. Everything that he has gone through. Think about this. Everything that he has gone through is just to confront this moment right here. Wow. She's like, I knew it. She's like, I knew it.
Mr. Brown, you need to sit down. You need to take a seat.
Wow. Some of these shows are kind of fake, I understand, but man, I don't know how fake you can. I don't know how much you can fake this.
I'm so sorry.
Man.
I just don't understand how someone could do that to somebody. 18 months. It's a long time.
It is. You cannot get that time back, and one of your best commodities as a man is time. That's why it hurts. What the hell is this? Chick is crazy, right?
Is that the birth certificate legalese should state that if the mother is not 100% certain who the father is, she should leave the father's name blank and arrange for a paternity test for possible candidates. If she names someone without 100% certainty, she could be charged with perjury. If it is found later that she did, in fact, name someone who was not the father, she could be charged with perjury and then have to explain how she could possibly have made a mistake, given the fact that she was told to name no one.
That's common sense. That's the crazy thing, that this is common sense. This is just common sense. Putting this putting this into law in the birth certificate, it's just common sense, folks. It's just common sense. However, we don't want to do it, or we are afraid of it. It's just common sense, man.
One if she was not certain of paternity. Anyway, that's all for today on manhood.
That was very good, man. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and I will see you on the next one.